Well, good morning, guys. I hope you have a big cup of coffee like I do, or tea, or whatever. I really want to tell you that today this episode of the podcast is not an audio. It's not an audio file. This is because I received a question from Elsin, and Elsin wanted me to give her homework, which I did. So this is the homework. You see it on the screen. If you need the file, you can find it here. You can find the link here under the video. This was the homework. What Elsin sent me was not correct, was not complete. That's okay, Elsin. We're going to try to do it together. I'm going to analyze this with you, and then afterwards I will make a video only with the audio file, and I will put the link here underneath homework. So if you've been with me the previous weeks, well, you know that we have been working on very hard French sentences. You see them here. I'm scrolling, and you see every time I put the link to the video if you want to hear them, because it's a very good thing to listen over and over again to those hard sentences. It's really very good. But first of all, so that's why I take the time this week, we have to analyze, we have to understand why certain sentences are made the way they are made. So, Elsin, I'm not going to take into account what you wrote here. I'm going to translate the English sentences into French sentences and make sure you understand, because there is no use to make extra or to give you extra homework. It's much better to do again and again the same sentences until you know them very well. Good. So let's start with the first one. The first sentence is, I would have gone to the party if I had finished my work earlier. Well, let me put down my cup. So, first of all, you see, there are like two parts of the sentence. This is what you could call the main sentence, and this is the subordinate clause. It's not important to know that. So, I would have gone. First, we're going to translate I would have. I would have is a conditional, so it is j'aurais. We're going to check if this is the correct form, but first, that's the first thing we see, I would have. Now, what is so difficult about future and conditional in French? That it is only one word compared to English, where it is two words. So we have will plus the infinitive or would plus the infinitive. So that's really hard. Somebody told me it's like a psychological barrier. So, okay, so j'aurais is already I would have. Then we have gone. Gone is what you call participe passé, is the past participle, and it's in French aller. Now, if you have already studied the passé composé, if you have already studied some verbs in French, you know that the verb aller is in fact conjugated with the auxiliary être, to be, and not to have. So we will have to say, I would be gone. It's maybe a bit funny for you, but it's not aurait, but it's serait. It's the conditional of the verb être. You see, je serais allé. Now, in French, anytime you have the verb être in a sentence, you have to adapt this past participle. Okay? So if you're a girl, then you have to write, in fact, you have to write it like this. Je suis allée. But as here, it's just an example. And if you don't know in French, it's always masculine. So we don't know. Je serais allé to the party, à la fête, because party is feminine. And now we have the second part. If I had finished my work or work earlier. So if, si, and then we have I had, which is the imparfait. It's the simple past of the verb to have. So si j'avais, that's I had. Finished, again, past participle. Fini. My work, mon travail. Earlier, plus tôt. Hola, this was not correct, like this. Okay, so je serais allé à la fête si j'avais fini mon travail plus tôt. And that's absolutely correct. Okay, Elsin, if you have questions, or other people, if you have questions, you don't understand why I'm doing certain things, please come back to me. So no, I don't want this. Okay, we go to the second sentence. Maybe, yeah, now you see better, don't you? Yes. By next year, they will have lived in this house for 10 years. So by is not really translated in French, so it will be l'année prochaine, next week. L'année prochaine, next year, I'm sorry, l'année prochaine. They will have. They will have. This is the future of the verb to have. And as I said, what is so hard is that in French it's only one word. So will have is ils auront. If you want me to explain how to make the future or the conditional, don't hesitate. I will, but please ask me. So ils auront, and then we have lived. Lived is again the participe passé, past participle of to live, which is a hard verb. The verb is vivre, but now we have to write it in the past participle, and it is very strange. It is vécu. Hard to guess that it comes from vivre. It's not all verbs. Most of the verbs, you can recognize them, but here, though, so it's vécu. L'année prochaine, ils auront vécu in this house, dans cette maison, for 10 years. I think in French, you would probably say depuis, since, depuis 10 ans. L'année prochaine, ils auront vécu dans cette maison depuis 10 ans. Okay, this is a very, very correct sentence in French. Okay, if he had studied more, he would have passed the exam. So yeah, you see we have a lot of those conditional sentences. And don't forget, conditional sentences have very strict rules for which tense to use. Here we have imparfait, which is simple past. If we have if plus simple past, here we will have conditional. Okay? So please don't hesitate to ask me questions. So if I had studied more, si, I had, j'avais, studied, which is the past past participle. Yes, which is a bit strange is that in English, this can be past participle or it can be simple past. You see? It's the same for certain verbs in English. It's not in French. So si j'avais, past participle, you write like this, with an accent. How do I see if it's a past participle? Because I have here an auxiliary. You see? I have the verb avoir. Si j'avais étudié plus, plus is more, he would have. Would have is the conditional of to have. Il aurait, this is the conditional of have. Past, we have again the past participle. Passé, l'examen. The exam, l'examen. Si j'avais étudié plus, no, if he, oh, I'm sorry. If he, si, il avait, I'm sorry. S'il avait étudié plus, if he had, yeah, you see the I of si, because normally this is the word si, goes away because of il. S'il avait étudié plus, il aurait passé l'examen. Now, what I also want to say is that the verb passer, pass, we could say succeed, which would have been réussi, but the verb pass can be conjugated with avoir or être. Être, when you pass in front of something. For the moment, don't worry about it, but just keep in mind, this auxiliary could have been être, which is not the case here because I have a direct object. Forget it for the moment. Just look at this sentence and try to fix it in your mind. She wishes she had told the truth. So she wishes, elle souhaite. And now we have a rule in French, which also exists in English, but a little bit less strict. If you have 2 times the same subject for the main clause and the subclause, she, you will not use a subject here, but you will use an infinitive clause, and so you will rather say, she wishes to have told the truth. She wishes to have told the truth. Elle souhaite to have told, avoir dit, to have said. Maybe we should, yeah, let me write here said, because dire is rather to say. Elle souhaite avoir dit la vérité, which is the truth. Okay, next sentence, and don't hesitate to come back to me with questions. When I arrived, they had already left. So when is quand. I arrived. This is now not past participle. This is simple past. Quand. Simple past always ends in AIS, AIT, etc., etc. Quand j'arrivais, they had. They had. Ils avaient. Now watch out, if it's plural, it's not just AI, but it's AIENT. Very long, a lot of vowels. Just pronounce like eh. Ils avaient déjà. And now, which verb am I going to use for leave? To leave, I would say it's the verb partir. So here, I'm going to write the past participle of to leave, which is parti. Okay, that's the first thing. Now, partir is conjugated with être. So here I cannot have avait, I should have était. This is, yes, certain verbs, which is not the case in English. In English, you always have to have in the past, in the past perfect, but not in French. So, partir has the verb or the auxiliary être. Ils étaient déjà partis. Now, what did I tell you? If I have être, I have to adapt the past participle. So if this is plural, they, we don't know if it's only boys or girls, we don't know. So we will have to put this also in the plural, masculine plural, because we do not know. Okay, so parti has an extra S because of the verb to be in the sentence. So let's read it again. Quand j'arrivais, ils étaient déjà partis. Yes, wonderful sentence. Okay. I will call you once I finished my homework. So this is the first part. I will call you. And then no, once I have finished. So I will call you. It's the future of the verb to call. To call is appeler. But in French, future and conditional are one word. So, j'appellerai. This is the future of the verb appeler. I have added AI, but watch out, sometimes, like here in this case, you have to double the L, which is not the case when you have an infinitive. Okay, I will call you. And the you, when it's a little word, it will come in front. So it will be je t'appellerai. So this is the you, the t. The full word is te, T-E, te. So je t'appellerai. Once I will translate it by as soon as, dès que, which is as soon as. I have finished, donc dès que j'ai, which is I have finished. We had already fini. My homework in French is normally plural, so you will say mes devoirs. Let's reread to see if it's correct. Je t'appellerai dès que j'ai fini mes devoirs. Yes. One thing more I want to tell you, there are conjunctions. This is a conjunction word. It's a linking word. It links the main clause to the subclause. Now, some of them are followed by subjunctif. Not this one. This one is followed by indicatif. Indicatif means all the normal tenses, which are present tense, simple past, past perfect, and so on and so on. If you want to know more about that, please ask me. If I were you, I would take the job. Now, this in English is an old subjunctif. In French, this you will just translate by was, if I was you. That's not very correct English. But so if I was you, si j'étais toi, just if I were you see here in French, you just use a normal simple past, which is was, right? I would take, would, it's the conditional. In French, you take the full verb, and then it ends in, it has the same endings as the simple past. So, I would take, je, to take is prendre, prendrais. You see, the ending is the same for simple past and conditional. But for the simple past, you will not take the whole verb, right? Je prendrais le travail. You can say le job in French also, but le travail is more French. Let's reread. Si j'étais toi, je prendrais le travail. Yes. Very good. We have 3 more sentences to do. I should have spoken to her before she left. I should have. Should have to is in fact in French the verb devoir, must. Should, in fact, should in French will be the conditional. So in fact, in French, you will say, I would must, which is really funny. But it will be the conditional of the verb to have to. Have here is not an auxiliary. It's have to, must. Okay? So, je. Yes, so I will have to make the past conditional of the verb to have. Let me first write it. J'aurais dû. And I can advise you that it's much better to remember that j'aurais dû is I should have. It's much easier. Otherwise, you're really going to be struggling. So just remember, I should have, j'aurais dû. But then I've spoken. J'aurais dû parler. Now, you see, this is also very interesting because in English, should have is followed by this is the past participle, right? Spoken, I have spoken. Now, in French, I have already a past participle of the verb to must, to have to. So that means that the next one is going to be infinitive. Now, really, if this is too complicated, you remember one sentence like this. I should have spoken. And you remember the translation. So if then you have another one, for example, you want to find I should have drunk. J'aurais dû boire. Okay? So it's much better, certain complex constructions, to remember them as a whole. And this is one. Okay? J'aurais dû parler. And then I have to her. To her, when it's a little word in French, it's the same to her or to him, and it is lui. And the little words are in front of the sentence, so it will be here, but that means that je doesn't have an apostrophe. It's not correct. And I will explain, I made a mistake, and I will explain immediately why. So normally, the little word should have been here, where the cursor is. But I have an infinitive, and when I have an infinitive in the sentence, the little words go just in front of, just before the infinitive. So the lui is here. J'aurais dû lui parler. And now I have the second part, before she left. Before, as a linking word, conjonction, si c'est in French, is avant que. But avant que is followed by a subjonctif, which is a very hard tense. So if you don't remember anymore how to make the subjunctive, please ask me. I can make a video. Avant que, and now I have to put she. So she is elle. I shouldn't have two e's, so this e goes away and it becomes an apostrophe. Avant qu'elle. Yes, and so left will not be a past tense, but will be a subjonctif avant qu'elle parte. Yes. So if this is too hard, please let me know and I will explain more. This was a very hard sentence. If for the moment, Elsin or all the others, you want to skip this one for the moment, that's fine. Don't make it too hard from the beginning. He acted as if he had never met me before. Yes, to act as if. In French is to do as if. So he did as if. Il faisait. This is the simple past of the verb faire. As if, comme si. He had. Il avait. Oops, no, avait is like this. Il avait, and then never. Never is jamais, but every time you use a negation in French, so I will write it here, jamais, you need this little n in the beginning, all negations. So, si il faisait comme si il, so the n goes here. Now watch out, we have ii, si il. So here also, I will have to put an apostrophe. Il faisait comme s'il n'avait jamais met. This is the past participle of the verb rencontrer. All the verbs with er become e accent in as when they are past participle. So, s'il n'avait jamais rencontré, now we have this little me here. Me. It's also me in French. You pronounce me. It's a little word, will go in front. Do we have an infinitive? No, we don't. So it will be in front here. Si il, it will be, so you always have subject, the little ne of the negation, and then the little words. That's the structure. Subject, ne, little words. So the me is coming here, but then I don't have an apostrophe here. Yes, right? You understand? If you don't understand, ask me. And then we still have the word before is avant. Yes, and then you see me avait. I have two vowels, and in this case, no, so it's not me avait, but it will also, you see, it will be apostrophe, so M apostrophe avait. And now we're going to reread to see if everything is correct. Il faisait comme si il ne m'avait jamais rencontré. Yes, I think it's like this. Really a very, very perfect sentence. And now we are having our very last sentence. If you're still with me, you're really very, very brave. Let me get first some coffee. Okay, so I didn't think you would have done it so quickly. Okay, so I didn't think. And then we have the second clause, second sentence. No, I don't want to be corrected. So I didn't think. Je, and the not and the negation is ne pas. That's the most normal. So it's ne and then the verb je ne pense pas. No, it's not pense. Did not think. Did think is the simple past. So it's penser. Is that correct? Je ne pensais pas. Yes. Then I have the second part. Well, in French, you will, like in English, you could also have here that. I didn't think that. And in French, yes, we should put it, the que. You cannot just leave it out like you do in English, right? Je ne pensais pas que you would have. Would have is the conditional of the verb to have. So, que tu aurais, remember, this is would have, conditional of to have, done. This is the past participle of the verb faire, que tu aurais fait. It. It normally in French it's le. If we don't know what it is, it's le. Little word will come in front. Que tu. So the le comes here. I have two vowels, so no, I will put an apostrophe. Que tu l'aurais fait. So quickly, si vite. Can be vite, can be rapidement. Rapidement could be correct also. Let's reread. Je ne pensais pas que tu l'aurais fait si vite. Yes. Um, when you have a negative sentence of pensée, sometimes we use conditional, but I'm not going into that today. That will be too hard. Let's keep it like that. So, Elsin, please correct because a lot of sentences you sent me were incomplete, not conjugated, and then you did not do them all. So I will take this away. And please check the corrections. I can give new homework, but I suggest that you first make sure you know the sentences we have been doing now, that you do them correctly. Okay. And so now I'm just going to read the sentences. I'm going to make an audio for the people who want it. And I put the link also here in this video. Okay. Wish you a very, very happy Sunday. Bye.